Good afternoon, all. I'm Dr. Andre Coy. I'm the chair of the Faculty of Science and Technology Research Ethics Committee. On behalf of the faculty and the Mona Campus Research Ethics Committee, I'd like to welcome all of us to this joint workshop on the new online ethics submission and review system. For some time now, the Mona Campus Research Ethics Committee has been making a concerted effort to develop and launch an online system that would make it easier for researchers to submit proposals and for reviewers to conduct and to submit their reviews. This new system that we have is a result of all that hard work. Our aim today is to take you through the process of submission of your proposals and to talk you through some of the processes that are undertaken when your proposal is being reviewed. We have with us today an expert who has been working with the development team. She's been integrally involved in the development, and she's best placed to talk us through all the intricacies of the online system. We have Mrs. Elva Langat-Latham, who is the Senior Administrative Assistant to the Mona Campus Research Ethics Committee. She has great experience with the system and with dealing with proposals. So she will be sharing with us today. I won't be very long here because we have limited time and we want to make the most of this session. What I'm going to ask is that we hold our questions until the very end. I'm sure there will be many questions, but as Mrs. Langat-Latham will be presenting and she will be responding to the majority of the questions, I'm going to ask that even if we post them in the chat, we wait until the end when Ms. Langat-Latham has completed her presentation in order to ask all of our questions. So we may need to make notes so that we don't forget what we want to ask her. But I think it's important that we allow her to have a free flow with her presentation. As usual, we'll follow the typical etiquette of Zoom meetings. If we have a question, we'll raise our hands or we'll post it in the chat for it to be responded to. So once again, welcome colleagues. And without further ado, I will turn you over to Ms. Elva Langat-Latham. Elva, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. You're hearing me now?
Perfectly clear. Thanks.
Okay. So I'm Elva Langat. The ethics administrator for the ethics unit. And I just want to say thank you first to Dr. Coy and Mrs. Sabraham Green for putting together this session. As mentioned by Dr. Coy, I will be speaking to you about the steps involved in submitting your research proposal, as well as the stages involved in the approval process. So I'll be alternating between the online system because I'm going to do a live demo, and I will also show you a PowerPoint presentation that I've created for you. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. So as listed on the screen, these are the steps involved in submitting your application, as well as the processes involved in the approval. So I'll go through each step. Dr. Coy had mentioned that persons should wait until after the presentation then they can ask question. But if it is okay with you, Dr. Coy, I would like to go through each step and then open the microphone so persons can ask question and clarify, and then we move on to the next step. Is that fine with you, Dr. Coy?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So first, when you're submitting your proposal, you need to register for a US Scholar account. After registering, you will submit your application. The application comes to us. It is categorized, you get your feedback, and then you would resubmit amendments. But before we move into the different steps, I have a quick tip for persons. So I normally tell persons who ask for information as it relates to submitting online that it is important to know what the committee is looking for and how they want it. So if you know that information, it will save you time, and it will save you time in preparing the proposal, and it will also lessen the amount of comments and recommendation you get from the committee. So I want to, let me show you. I want to show you on our website at the templates of the system, as well as the guideline to guide you in preparing your research proposal. Okay, and to access the website, you can just simply type MCREC in Google, and the website will pop up. So when you're on the main page of the website, you scroll down to the bottom of the page and you will see the heading, Online Submission of Research Proposal. You click here, and then you'll see 4 steps that are crucial in submitting your application. But what I really want to show you on this page, and this is before you put together your proposal, how the system looks, right? So in step 1, you'll see Form A and Form B. If you click on Form A, you will see how the system looks. And this will guide you in what is required for the proposal. Form B is where you enter the investigator's information. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to do a live demo of the system, so you'll see all this information. So once you've looked at the templates of the system, you can move on to downloading the guidelines for preparing research proposal. So this will tell you what is required in the different section of the proposal, and you'll go to page 24 to get that information. And as you can see, you have the title of the study, what a title should entail, the summary, introduction, etc. So before putting your proposal together, I advise that you look at the template of the system and look at our guidelines, page 24. Okay, so you've prepared your proposal and now you are ready to submit to ethics. So what do? You have to register for a UE Scholar account. And how do you get onto the UE Scholar platform? So there are two ways to log into, to go onto the UE Scholar platform. One, you can access the link that is in our applicant manual, or you can go to Google and access the UE Scholar platform from there. And I'll show you how to do this. The next thing that you should know is that you can only use your UE Mona email to register for UE Scholar account. And when you register for a UE Scholar account, you will get a message immediately acknowledging the registration and indicating how long it takes for the account to be approved. In the message, it is currently saying 3 days, but we are having, at the moment, we've asked for that to be removed because it's actually not 3 days, it's 24 hours or less. When the account is approved, you will get another email indicating approval of the account. And once you've received that email, you can log on to the platform to submit your proposal. So I'm going to show you how to register for a UE Scholar account. So as I mentioned before, you can access the platform by clicking on the link in the applicant manual, and you can find this manual on the website. So you go back to home page, you go to online submission of research proposal, click here. And under step 2, you'll find the applicant manual. The applicant manual actually has the steps for registering for UE Scholar account, as well as additional information. So number 1, all applicants must create a UE Scholar profile by visiting, and they provide a link in the applicant manual. So if you click on the link, it will bring you to the platform, or you can simply go to Google and type in UE Scholar. And you're now on the platform. All right, so let's register. So I'm already logged in. I'm going to log out and just show you how it is done. So you click on register, and it will just ask you a few questions. First name, last name. As I mentioned, you have to enter your UE email, password, confirm your password, and I advise that you use a password that you normally use, or if you want to choose something else, just ensure that you have it stored somewhere, or you can, the system will ask for you to remember the password. You can select that as well. Confirm password, select I'm not a robot, register, and that's it. It's literally less than a minute. So we've gone through the process of registering for a UE Scholar account. So I'm going to ask that if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask, or if you need further clarification, you can go ahead and ask before I move on to the next step. Karine, so I'm seeing Karine Lindsay. She raised her hand. Go ahead, Karine.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
So
afternoon.
I'm a project coordinator and I'm often required to submit proposal on behalf of the PI. So I want to know if using this online system, is it that the PI will register for the UE Scholar account, or me as the person sending in the application?
Okay, so being that you are responsible for sending in the application, fine, you can send in the application. However, the feedback from the committee will go to you, so your account. So when you get the feedback from the committee, you will have to share that with the other persons that are a part of this study.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, so I'll move on.
I just put mine in the chat that if we have access to the PowerPoint, because I might remember it now, but not when I want to make an application.
Sure, no problem. So the intention is to put this recording on the website, and we do have quite a bit of information on the website already, so no issues, no need to worry. All right, Dr. Ricketts, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to clarify what Clarina had said before. Or the students are submitting the proposal. Will the lecturer be able to see what's happening as well?
No, so whoever submit the proposal, that person will get the feedback. So that person will have to share with the supervisor. So that decision has to be made between the student and the supervisor who wants to submit the application. So
Okay.
there has to be some communication happening between the student and the supervisor.
Okay, so this UE Scholar account is accessible for students as well?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions before we move on? Okay, so the next step is submitting your application. So as I mentioned before, the supervisor can submit the application or the student. And when submitting an application, there are a few documents that are mandatory. And there are some additional documents that you may need to upload, and that depends on the type of proposal you are submitting. So documents that are mandatory when submitting your application is a signed cover letter. This cover letter should be on the department's letterhead. It should be signed by the PI or the supervisor of the study. The checklist should be signed by the PI or the supervisor. And you should also upload your payment receipt, a copy of your payment receipt. You can upload the payment receipt, or you can send it to the Mona campus email. So you have the choice where that is concerned, because sometimes you know that you're rushing and you want to get the application out of the way, you want to meet a deadline. You can go ahead and submit, but ensure that you send in the receipt after. So some additional documents that you may need to upload are the instruments, the permission letters, consent forms, budget, recruitment materials like your flyer, and proposal if it is you're submitting a clinical trial. If it is that you're not submitting a clinical trial and for some reason you feel as if you have additional information that you would like the reviewers to see, you can go ahead and upload the proposal as well. So I'm going to go to the system and I'm going to show you how to submit your application. So I'm already logged in. You will go to my profile. You'll go to Actions, Research Ethics Application. And then you'll go to Submit a New Application. And you'll select Application for Ethical Approval. And if you notice above that, we have Application for Animal Research. So that is coming soon. So we just have a few touching up here and there, and persons who are submitting animal studies, they'll now be able to submit their application online. So you'll select Application for Ethical Approval. And this is how the system looks. So I went ahead and prepared my proposal in my Word document, and I'm going to copy and paste the information in the system. So as I mentioned before, I advise that you look at the system, look at the guideline, put together your proposal. And once you have your proposal, it should be easy going through. So I'm going to change the view so I don't have to minimize the documents that I'm using. So you'll be able to see the system only. So give me a second, let me change the view. Okay, so we have the title of the research project. I'm going to copy and paste my information. You have your research start date, your research end date. And this is when you want to begin your research. Then next we have the abstract. And here we've provided some information that is required in the abstract. As I mentioned before, the guidelines have all the information that is required in the abstract. There's a word limit also for the abstract. It's 300 words. You can also widen the window to see the information. Moving on to number 2, background and rationale for the study. And you'll also put your introduction in this section, your literature review. That is what you put in this section as well. Now you have the aims and objectives. There's a word limit on that as well. Hypothesis, and this is if applicable. Number 5, methodological design. 5.1, overall study design. And if you look, you'll see a help button. When you click on the help button, there's a bit of information to guide you as to what should be in this section. Okay, and for this section, the format is different. So you would normally copy and paste, click paste, but for this section, you have to use Control V to paste the information. And if it is, you have some information in this section and you want to move the information around, in order to do that, you have to highlight what you want to move, go to edit, click copy, go to where you want to put it, Control V. You can also itemize. You can also bold the information in this section. All right. Moving on to 5.2, location and time frame of the study. So a bit of information under here as well. 5.3, justification for participants or subjects, inclusion criteria. Down here, we have exclusion criteria. 5.32, special or vulnerable population. And we have a bit of information on that as well. And you can also find more information in the guidelines. 5.33, research-related justification for sample size. 5.34, recruitment of subjects. How will subjects be recruited? 5.4, research intervention or procedures. Bit of information under here as well. Now we're down to data collection instruments. And in this section, you'll upload your questionnaire, interview questions, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and upload. And just to note, all the documents that you are uploading, the documents should be PDF. So PDF your documents before you go ahead and upload. So you put in the description, choose file, the questionnaire is uploaded. If it is you want to add something else, you click on add row, enter the title, choose file. Okay, so methods for data analysis. Ensure data analysis is applicable in relation to the research/data collected. Number 6, confidentiality. 6.1, methods for storing and securing study or biological data. Methods 6.2, methods for protecting participants' confidentiality. We have some information under there as well. Risk benefit indicate what is the level of risk associated with this research. And if you click the help, we have a lot of information under here for the different categories. There are 3 categories for risk. You have minimal risk, greater than minimal risk, significantly greater than minimal risk. (7.2), please describe risk, discomfort, inconvenience, side effects, and financial costs to participants. And all areas may not be relevant to you. So if the area is not relevant, you can just type in not applicable and move on. (7.4), impacts of the study on human groups that are not participants in the study. 7.5, impacts of the study on the environment, whether positive or negative. Number 8, compensation for participants. Number 9, informed consent. So you will describe the process for informed consent and indicate if waiver of written consent is requested with justification or waiver of consent altogether with justification. Funding. 10.1, state sources of funding, indicate any potential for a conflict of interest between researcher and funder. And we have a bit of information under there. What is the budget for the study? Here you would upload the budget, choose file, and that's it. 11, expected outcomes and impact of the study. How will the results be disseminated? And we have, will a report or a publication be produced? How the results will be acted upon for both the participants and the community. Here is where you'll enter your limitations for the study. Number 12 is for references. And as I said before, for this section, you will have to Control V to paste the information. Okay, Sylvia Mitchell, can go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you a question, and I don't know if you're the best person to answer it, but your section for informed consent, I assume you mean prior informed consent? Is it the individual, or are you requiring the community also to give consent? Because there are some communities, for example, the Maroon community, that I don't think it should be enough for individuals to give consent, but the community also needs to. Has that been thought through yet, or is it still only individual
Okay, all
informed
right.
consent?
So where exactly you were pointing me to? Which section?
There, oh gosh, I didn't record in my head
Hold on. I think I have an idea of
which one it is.
where.
Yes, there are 9.
All right, and the question was, go again, let me hear the question.
Yes, my knowledge of it is, it's called prior informed consent, in that you have to get it before you give the questionnaire to the individuals within the study. And that I'm asking, is that the only consent you need, or have you also considered getting consent from the community which those individuals represent? For example, the Maroon community.
Okay, I think I get what you're asking. In that case, I believe it would be like a permission letter. So if it is you want to, let me see if I fully understand what you're saying. So if you want to interview persons at Digicel, of course, you would need to get consent from the participants before you can issue the questionnaires. But you also want to get permission from Digicel to interview their workers. So you would submit a letter, which we call permission letter. You would submit a letter to Digicel telling them about the study and asking them for access, so to speak, to their workers.
So you would call that permission. Is there a place for that in here then? And
yes, we're going to go a bit further down. Further down, you'll see where you would upload. So we pretty much was right there.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. There is somebody else who wanted to ask a question. Prof. Weber?
Yes, Ms. Langert, how are you doing? Mona Weber here.
I'm good.
I had put something in the chat about online e-questionnaires, whether instead of uploading the actual questionnaire, if we could add a link to a questionnaire.
Yes. You can also put a link. Just ensure that the link is working. Yes, but you can put a link. Yes,
thank you.
That's fine. Okay. So if it is you're submitting a clinical trial, you would need to upload a proposal, and you'll upload it here. Spirit or WHO guidelines, Mona doesn't follow. I wouldn't say doesn't follow, but that this is more in relation to the other campuses. I didn't mention this earlier, but this is a standardized form. So it is being used across, or should be used across the other campuses. Some campuses have started using it, like Mona, Trinidad. So this is what all the campuses should be using, will be using. Okay, so moving to 13.3, recruitment materials. And this is where you put like your flyer. If it is, you have a flyer. Where did I have that? All right. 13.4, this is where you'll put your permission letters. The permission letters to institution for permission to access research sites and approvals as required. So this is where you'll put your consent forms, 13.5. And I will also show you the guideline that you should follow when preparing your consent form. That is also on the website. The checklist that you should fill out is also on the website, and I'll show you all of that information. Mr. White or Dr. White, you can go ahead with your question.
Yes, no, it's not Dr. White. Just a quick question. I talking like from life sciences. Sometimes there are some touchy issues that you're not too sure. You should go to the ethics committee, and I should mention, for example, in terms of the new technologies, we're doing camera trap studies, and when you send it now to the journal, they're asking if you did get certain approval or certain ethics. Right, and the question is, judging somehow how this is set out, how do you capture new change in, well, I should say submission, because it's no longer just asking for if you're doing a survey or a questionnaire, are you working with animals? By just being outside using certain technology, they are now asking for ethical approval. How are looking at the format of how you set in?
Form?
Yes, but sometimes it's a touchy issue. You're not sure how to approach it.
So is it that you're wondering what information you put in the form?
Yeah, where would it fit in this? Because I still checking it. It's still looking at the basic stuff if you're doing a questionnaire, if you're doing animal trials or something like that. But for ecologists outside doing it, no, when you're sending into these journals, there are some new ethical issues coming in. And sometimes we're not sure if what we're doing we're supposed to submit, because some stuff we have been doing it for years and you weren't sure that it was an ethical issue, but now you're sending to the journals.
So you have to get approval.
Right.
And just to know that the committee does not provide retroactive approval. So you have to send the proposal to the committee for review and approval. I understand what you're saying, that your information will be a bit different because this may seem more maybe sciencey. So I would advise that you fill out as much as possible. And if you have documents that will maybe support your application, so to speak, you can upload the documents, as well as putting the information in the cover letter. Don't know if that helps, Mr. White?
Yes, it helps, because sometimes you just wonder for the process to make sure that what you're doing needs to get ethical of approval.
Yes, so maybe most areas will not be relevant to you. You just fill out what is applicable and upload whatever you need to upload, and that's it. Because we understand that it is going to vary. All right.
Mrs. Langerfeld, I think at this point, if you will permit me, there are some questions from the chat that I may want to address since the questionnaire.
Okay.
First one is asking for you to clarify the difference between the animal study option and the traditional ethical approval option.
Well, the difference between the two, when you're dealing with animals, so there are particular questions that you're going to need to ask that really don't apply to humans. So, I mean, that's the difference, the information that is being asked. I don't know if that helps, but it's the information.
Thank you. Another question is, does this form replace the Word doc that we would have submitted prior?
I'm not hearing you so clearly.
My apologies. The question is if this form replaces the Word document that would have been submitted prior to the use of this.
Yes. We're no longer collecting hard copies or soft copies of proposal. All new proposals should be submitted via this online platform.
Another question is, are in-text references counted in the word limit? So some of the boxes have word limits. The question is whether or not the in-text references will count to those word limits.
I'm not sure, to be honest. Let me check. I'm checking something first. Okay, so for section 1, I'm sorry for the disturbance outside, but I'm working from home today. For section 1, you shouldn't have any references in the abstract, right? For section 2, there is no word limit, and that is where you'll have the references happening. So you shouldn't have any issue.
Okay. Thank you. But I think generally speaking, in any of these sections, if there is a word limit, whatever you put in is going to count to the word limit.
I would want to think so.
Thank you. And there's one more question. What are the administrative costs that have to be paid for each submission?
The cost?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay. Thank you. That's all from the chat. You have answered Professor's question.
All right, so moving along. This is where you'll put additional documents that you need to upload, such as the cover letter, the checklist, what else? I've mentioned those in the PowerPoint, but this is where you'll put any additional documents. All right, and once you're finished filling out this form, you'll click Save. All right, and it says saved changes successfully. So you have the second part to fill out, and this is the investigator's information. So the form that we just completed a while ago is the research proposal section, and the second form is the investigator's information. You can always pause and come back and finish the submission. So you click on investigator's information. All right, and research type, and we have some options here. So this research is in partial fulfillment of a UE degree. This research is a staff research, and it says please fill section B and C. This research is performed by an external researcher. Please fill out sections B and C. So I'm going to select this one. And so we'll move on to B and C. All right, let me just show you what is up here. If the research was in partial fulfillment of a degree, you would fill out the name of the student, the name of the supervisor, and Dr. Gillian Wharf is the chair for the ethics committee for those persons who do not know. There's some information under here. Affiliation can be UE department, university, or institution. Can just put a comma and put pathology department. Then you can select the department here. There's a list of the departments and the different sections. The faculty. Okay, and we're going to fill out the principal investigator's information. And the principal investigator is not the student. Then we're going to enter a phone number, affiliation of PI, the university or organization to which you are connected to. So it's UEMONA. Address for official letters. So you'll put the name of the department or the section, the faculty. Program. So this here, city training or equivalent certificate for the principal investigator. This is not mandatory for Mona, but it is mandatory for other campuses, so you can ignore that section. And further down, you'll see where if you have co-investigators on the study, you can go ahead and enter their information as well. And I think we have up to maybe 10. So we have 10. So once you're finished with this section, you'll click Save. And it says Save changes successfully. And we are finished, not quite. We're finished with completing the forms. However, you need to click Submit Application in order for the application to move from the US Scholar platform and onto the Ethics Committee's platform. So once you submit application, that is it. So here you'll see the date. The application was created, the title of the research, and when you submit the application, the reference number will pop up, and you'll also see a heading that says status. So I'm not going to submit the application as yet. So that's it for submitting an application. Does anyone have any questions before I move on to talking about payments and deadlines? Okay. So we'll move over to the website. And on the website, when you go to schedules and forms, you will see to your left, meeting schedules and fees. You'll see the meeting schedule. So you'll see when is the meeting date and when is the deadline for submitting. And note that there is no meeting in August. Go ahead, Dr. White.
Hi, Elva. Congratulations
Hi.
on all the great work you're doing with the Ethics Committee. I have seen the
Thank
improvement
you.
having interacted with the system from its paper-based days. So I had a question about this. Now that we're online, why do we still have to wait so long for the review? Mind you, I'm getting responses quicker now, so that's not the issue. But I would have thought that, you know, you have different types of review, the exemption, expedited, full review. So say, for example, I'm doing a no-risk study, anonymous, you know, it's content analysis, no danger to anyone. Why do I have to give in the thing on the 5th of February and wait for, sorry, the 8th of January to wait an entire month for you to tell me that I'm exempt? You see my point? Is there a plan, I should say, is there a plan to give a quicker response for the low risk, exempt, expedited type applications? I understand full review will probably have to wait until meeting date. And I've had situations where when we're doing the upgrade of the previously given approval, I have gotten that within a week. So that's great. But I just wanted to know if you do an initial application and it is clear to everybody that it is
expedited.
It's exempt. I know I'm supposed to determine exemption. So once I give it in on the 8th of January, could I not get the feedback the following week to say you're exempt, go ahead with your study? Do I have to wait on the meeting day?
All right, no. Okay, so before, when proposal come in, it would take some time to go through and to decide, okay, this is full committee, this is exempt, this is expedited, because usually persons don't say anything in the cover letter, right? But no, for the online system, when a proposal is submitted, the Secretariat would look at the proposal to see, all right, this proposal should be exempted or it should be expedited, and we'll push it through. So there's no longer the waiting to say, all right, you submit this particular time. You're just hearing a couple of weeks after that the study is an expedited study. No, once you submit the study, we look at it and we make the decision and push it through to the reviewers. So that has changed. Since the online system, that has changed.
Okay, great. Because for me, in my department, the students I interact with and faculty, one of the biggest fears they have of ethics committees that, oh, ethics is going to delay my
Take long.
So I always have to be assuring them, no, let's work with them, you know, maximum 2 months, but you know, at least if it's expedited or exempt, you can get it within a month, within 2 weeks. So that is my biggest thing I have to be convincing my colleagues.
Sure.
Avoid it. So many people tend to want to avoid ethics. They're saying that it take too long. So I always have to be telling them about, so they're always asking me about this timeline to say, wow, look at that. We have to wait 1 month for the meeting and this is going to delay my study. So I'm always assuring them that it's now online. So thanks for this. It's now online and therefore expedited and exempt ones will get a quicker response and not have to wait for the full meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, so persons don't have to be fearful anymore.
Okay.
We have changed a lot of things and we are continuing to change other areas that needs improvement. All right, somebody 100-11721. I'm not seeing a name. You raised your hand. You can go ahead. ID number 100-11721. Okay, I'm not hearing. All right, so moving on to the administrative fees. You'll see the list of admin fees: undergrad, overseas distance students, graduate students, academic staff. And we have payment options, so we are no longer collecting payments in office, but persons have two options for making payments. You can either do this online, and the information is provided in option 1. And option 2, you can pay directly at bursary. And as I mentioned before, a copy of the receipt should be either uploaded with the proposal when you're submitting the proposal, or you can send a copy of the receipt to the ethics email. Is it Mr. Lewis or Dr. Lewis? You can go ahead. Okay, I'm moving on to Sylvia Mitchell.
Yes, I just wanted to ask if you were not sure if you needed to get approval or not, like the one from Life Sciences that was explained, or you are exempt. Do you pay the same fee, or is there a different fee?
So the fee is not based on if the proposal is expedited or full committee, it's just based on the category in terms of if you're a staff or if you're an undergrad student or a postgrad student.
So what happens if you do submit and you're told that you don't need to get ethics approval, and then you do the research and you try and publish it, and at that stage you're told that you needed to have ethics approval?
Okay, so based on what you're saying is that you submit to ethics, then you're told you don't need ethical approval, and then when you're ready to publish, you're told by the journal that you need ethical approval. That's what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Well, once you submit a proposal to ethics, we'll look at it and we'll definitely provide a letter of approval, so to speak, once everything is fine. So we don't send back a proposal to say that we don't not say anything.
Understood, understood. Thank you.
Sure. Dr. White, you wanted to say something else?
This is a question about the fees, because I get asked by my students. So they were saying, now that it's online, why do you have to pay? Because there was an understanding that the payment, well, a misunderstanding that you had to make this payment for administrative purposes of photocopying the hard copy to distribute to the committee. That was the understanding. I don't know where they got that from. So they were now asking me, not it's online and they clearly copy anything. Why am I paying this money? I try to justify, but if you can give an answer, please.
Okay, so the committee is now, what I should say, self-sufficient. So whatever the committee needs, the committee has to pay for it.
Self-financing.
Yes, yes, self-financing. Thank you. So I would say that is the main reason. That's why we continue to collect fees, because we do require certain things.
Understandable.
Yes, we do require other things, and this is coming from higher up.
Yeah,
it's not a.
It's just that if the online persons expected maybe a reduction in fees or a change in the fee schedule, that online people think that.
Yeah, as it relates to payment, this is coming from higher up.
Okay.
Yes, it goes through a process higher up. Yeah.
The review process. Okay.
Okay, so we've went through the payment options for persons submitting proposals that involve human or may not involve human. You would need to fill out this checklist and it has to be signed by the PI. And if the study involves animals, there is a checklist for animals as well.
Although there's a question in the chat.
Sure.
If you
Sure.
address it. Are all research subjects required to apply for ethics approval? What is the thinking re studies that involve genetic modification of plants, bacteria, etc.? I guess that's two questions.
Okay. So our proposal really don't require ethics approval as it relates to, let me put it this way. The committee will be having, because we've been getting quite a few questions as it regards to this subject area. The committee will be meeting and to discuss these questions surrounding what should be sent to the ethics committee for review. So we'll be having a meeting for that. So once we have that meeting, we'll be able to provide more information. All right.
Thank you for that. The second part of the question was, what is the thinking with regard to studies that involve genetic modification of plants, bacteria, and other things?
I would have to get more information as it relates to this because that is being very specific.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so as it relates to putting together your consent form, there is a guideline and you have the different areas and what is required for each area. And there is also an assent form. This is for minors. Okay, so we've submitted our application and now we're going to move on to categorizing the proposals. So the proposals can fall into either full committee review, expedited, or exempt from full board review, or it can be exempted. What full committee means is that the proposal goes to a meeting and it is discussed at the meeting. For expedited or exempt, it's just a subset of the committee that looks at the proposal. So for full committee, you will get feedback 5 to 6 weeks after submitting, because you usually submit like a month before the meeting. So you'll get feedback about 5 to 6 weeks, or you can say 1 to 2 weeks after the meeting. For expedited or exempt, it will take about 2 to 3 weeks the most. For exemptions, about 3 to 5 days. And for the criteria for each of these categories, you can find the criteria in the guidelines for preparing research proposal. I've showed you that document already. and it's on page 13. Okay, so when your proposal comes to the committee, and if it is that it went to full committee, after the proposal is reviewed, two decisions can be made. The proposal should either be resubmitted and reviewed in-house, and this depends on pretty much the areas that needs correction, the quantity of the corrections, or it can go back to the committee where it will be fully reviewed again. If it's in-house, when you resubmit and it's say in-house review, this will take about 2 weeks for you to get back a feedback from the committee. If it is for full committee review, you will be notified in the response, and a date will be provided to say you need to submit by this deadline to meet the next meeting date. So you will know if it is the proposal when you resubmit, it will be dealt with in-house, which means it will be looked at by subset of the committee, and it is a shorter period of time, 2 weeks, or it will have to go back for full committee review, and this will be stated. Okay, so you submit your proposal and you need to track your application. So one, I've already showed you the meeting schedule. So based on the meeting schedule, you'll be able to really say when is the meeting date, so when you're expected to get back a feedback. The other thing is that when the feedback is sent to you, it will go back to the US Scholar platform. So you'll get a message indicating that the committee has reviewed your proposal and there are comments, and it will tell you that you need to log into US Scholar, and it will tell you how to resubmit the amended proposal. Or you will see a pop-up icon on your US Scholar platform or beside your proposal that you submitted, and I'm going to show you that. Okay. So if you've received feedback from the committee, this icon will appear here, right? And you click View Application. You scroll down to the bottom. So let's pretend this was reviewed and I have feedback. Scroll down to the bottom and you, well, not so far, but near to the end of the page, you'll see the feedback. What I advise is that you maybe take a screenshot or copy and paste the feedback that you have been given, because once you click Resubmit Application, the feedback will disappear. So if you click Resubmit Application, this enables you to go back into the system and to make the edits. So if you click that, you'll no longer see the feedback. So I advise that you save the feedback from the committee before clicking Resubmit Application. All right, so your proposal will fall into 3 categories at different stages. You have incomplete application. Let me see if I have one here that says incomplete. Okay, so this one says incomplete application. And what this means is that I've started entering information, I'm not finished. right? When I click submit application, then this will change to open application. So let me repeat that. So incomplete application means that I've started the application and for some reason I've stopped and, you know, we'll return to it. And so it's just there on the platform. Once I click submit application, the title will change to open application, which means the proposal is now with the committee. And if you notice, you're no longer seeing the two forms and you're not seeing submit application up top here. It's not there anymore. And you're able to see the status of the proposal. You're able to see the movement of the proposal throughout the review process. So once you submit application, you can always go back and view, but you're not able to enter or edit the application. The next category is completed application. And for completed application, it just simply means that the proposal is approved. And once the proposal is approved, sorry about that. Once the proposal is approved, you'll be able to download the approval letter or approved consent forms, whichever documents, you'll be able to download the approval letter and you can always go back and download the approval letter. So it's always there on the system. Okay, so you've received the feedback from the committee and now you're ready to make amendments and to resubmit. So based on which category your proposal is in, it will be a little different as it relates to resubmitting. So if the proposal went for full committee review, and when you're resubmitting the application, you would need to have a signed cover letter. The signed cover letter should address each point from the committee. It should also include the page numbers for the corrected sections. So I'll show you what to do. And the amended proposal, for the amended proposal, the amendments or the amended sections, it should be highlighted or bold and underlined. And this is for full committee review. This bit of information is also in the message that you receive from the committee once feedback is sent to the online platform. If your proposal was expedited or exempted, it's a bit different. So you still need to submit a signed cover letter. And as indicated earlier, your cover letter should be signed by the PI. So you need to submit a cover letter and the cover letter should address each point from the committee. However, you will make the amendment in the application, right? And the amendments should be bold where applicable. So I'll show you what should be done for full committee and for expedited and exempt as it relates to resubmitting. Okay, so I'm going to, hold on, let me change the view. Okay. Let me just submit this. All right, and as you can see, a reference number was generated, status processing. So we have gotten, let's pretend we have gotten feedback from the committee. Scroll down to the bottom and I see all my comments, all right? So one of my comments, so I've gotten comments on the abstract, all right? So say the committee asked me to enter information for ethical consideration and confidentiality. What I would need to do, and this is for full committee when you're resubmitting an amended proposal. What I would need to do is just copy the information that was in the system, paste it in our Word document, right? Have the heading, enter the information that the committee requires, and just bold and underline the amended area. All right. Same thing if I got comments for the introduction, I would copy the information that's in the introduction, put it in our Word document, amend the introduction here, bold and underline. So you will only do this for the areas that you have received feedback for. So if you didn't receive any feedback for number 5, number 6, 7, 8, and you only received feedback for number 1 and number 2, you'll only copy and paste the information for number 1 and 2 in our Word document. Include it, change, make the amendment, highlight and or bold and underline the amendment. And as mentioned before, you also need to PDF the document before you upload the document. So you would upload this, so you wouldn't make any changes in the online system. You copy the information, paste it in a Word document, and you make the changes there. All right. For exempt or expedited proposal, you would have to make the changes within the system. Usually for those types of proposal, the content is way less, and usually the feedback is more about the methodological design. So you'll be able to make changes and bold the changes. And this is applicable for number 5 and other areas in the system where you can bold. Some areas are not able to bold, but the areas that you're able to bold, you go ahead and bold. And you would also need to upload the signed cover letter. Okay, seems as if somebody else is asking a question. Dr. Coy?
So I'm here.
Can you read the question in the chat? I'm not able to open it. I don't know why it's not popping
Someone
up.
was asking about the cost, and Dr. White posted the site.
Okay,
Link,
good.
the link to the document.
Thank you, Dr. White. Okay. So after resubmitting, that is it. It's the same process again. If it is you've gotten feedback from the committee again, it's the same thing. You would make changes, submit, and that's it. So are there any questions? That is it as it relates to submitting the application online and tracking your feedback and making amendments.
Okay, colleagues, then this is our opportunity to ask questions that haven't been addressed as yet. You can either raise your hand or post in the chat. Let me read for you at least so you can see the chat. A question has come in. With the feedback document, where do you upload the revised document? I think is being asked here.
Okay, so there's a section at the end. When you click resubmit application, the form becomes editable, and you scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll see 13.6 other documents, and you'll see the area to upload. So you'll be able to enter a title, amended proposal, and then choose file and upload. So this is not editable, sorry. So you're not able to see. Let me see if I can open another one and show you. So down here, you'll be able to upload the cover letter as well as the amended proposal. All right. Any other questions?
Elva, while we wait for questions, maybe you could say something about the role of the faculty-based committees, their role in reviewing proposals, as well as providing assistance and information to researchers who are thinking about submitting. So for instance, Mr. I think it was White from Life Sciences who wasn't sure if he should submit an application. Maybe he could be pointed to the faculty's research committee. Could you say something about that?
Sure. So the subcommittees are there for assistance as it relates to providing guidance and any clarification that is needed. If it is also that you received feedback from the committee and you're maybe unclear about the feedback, and for example, it's a research in partial fulfillment of a degree. So there's a supervisor and there's a student, and the supervisor went over the comments with the students and they're still unclear about what the committee is asking. In that instance, the supervisor can also go to the subcommittee and ask for some assistance as it relates to clarifying the comments. Usually proposals that are minimal risk would go to the subcommittees for review. Is there any other questions?
There's a question in the chat. Thank you for your response, by the way. There's a question in the chat. Does the ethics committee still reside in medical sciences?
Yes, for now. Yes, so we are on the second floor and we're to the right of the building. Yes. What I also
we see a hand from Dr.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Dr. Ricketts.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify because you're speaking of the faculty subcommittee. So I was wondering if I'm supposed to submit in the future, should I go to my faculty or go straight to medical sciences?
Oh, no, you come straight to the main committee. So you submit to the main committee. I mean, when you're preparing the proposal and if you need some guidance, you can go to the subcommittee for some guidance, but you submit directly to the main committee.
Okay.
Yes. And I just want to point out also, if it is that you have any queries or concerns, or if you need any assistance with maybe uploading proposal or clarification on anything, please just send an email to the ethics committee. Our email address is on the website, mcrec@uwimona.edu.jm. All right.
Question from Lloyd George relating to the role of the faculty committees. I'm wondering if your response to Dr. Ricketts would have covered the question asked by Dr. George. We'll wait to see if there's a response in the chat. Colleagues, are there any other questions? Okay, so the question was answered.
Okay.
Anyone else wants to use up this valuable resource while we have it? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Elva. Your presentation was very clear. And I'm sure that colleagues would have learned a lot. And of course, if there are still questions, you have made yourself available. The faculties, subcommittees are also available. We will post the presentation and the meeting link on the ethics committee's website. Is that correct, Elva?
Could you repeat the last part of what you said, Dr. Coy?
I think you had mentioned that we would try to host a copy of the presentation and the meeting on your website.
Yes, yes.
And we will also put a link on the Faculty of Science and Technology's website. So colleagues who weren't able to attend should be able to see the meeting and look at the presentation that you had, the PowerPoint. And if we need to review it, even though we've been here, we can go back and have a look at it.
Sure.
Excellent. So once again, I want to say thank you to Ms. Langer-Latham. I want to say a special thanks to Ms. Sabraham Green for putting this together. She spearheaded the effort, and we're truly grateful for her. She wasn't able to attend, but we want to acknowledge her nonetheless. So colleagues, again, for attending and for participating. And I wish for you an enjoyable rest of your day. Please keep safe. Take care.